of information is going to be on the slides that we won't go into a lot of detail with, but the presentation is full of links and resources for you all. So we will share this presentation and recording after tonight, so you can always go back and check out all of the great resources. But we will be covering an overview, like a general timeline of what you're looking at in college preparation, which I hope all of you have heard about by now. The college exploration process, how testing is involved, types of college admission, financial aid, community colleges, and then other post-secondary pathways, including military, CTE, and apprenticeships. And then, like I said, after the presentation, you are welcome to visit with admissions officers outside.
All right, so I always think it's helpful to get kind of the 20,000 foot view of this process, just so you kind of know sort of what's coming and the order of things. So this is an overview and a timeline. You'll see right below there will be a link for this later, that where you can find a little more detailed timeline, which links to another even more detailed timeline. But in general, this is the way this is going to happen. First of all, you want to be taking college preparatory classes and doing your best in them. So college preparatory classes that are designed to prepare you for college. So most of the classes that you're taking at our campuses are going to be college preparatory. And also participating in extracurricular activities. Most colleges, not all, but most like to see that students are involved in things other than just their classes, that they're not just brains on a stick. And so they'll want to see that you're involved in other things. So please notice that happens through all grades. So this is something all of you should be doing. You're challenging yourself each year with the classes you take, pushing yourself as much as you can handle well, and doing your best in there, and then getting involved. We're going to talk a lot more about the rest of these. So through all grades is exploring, but especially the junior year, that's the main time to be exploring college options and other options. Testing, we'll talk more about that, but for the most part that happens in the spring or summer of junior year. Narrowing your choices happens early in senior year. That's kind of what seniors are working on now. Applying to colleges, as a general rule, fall and winter for 4-year and spring for 2-year. Applying for financial aid usually starts in the fall, but this year it's going to be more in the winter, which we'll talk about briefly. And then making a final decision. Students are asked to make a final decision of where they want to go May 1 of their senior year. Okay, so there's lots of time before you have to make that final decision. So for now, you want to be doing these other steps. All right, course requirements. Andrea just mentioned A to G requirements. We go through this every year with course selections, so you should have that information, but make sure you're checking. This is true for most colleges, but it's very specifically true for the UCs and the Cal States. You have to meet these requirements, and for those campuses, you have to get a C or higher in each of the required courses. Other colleges don't have that specific requirement, but the Cal States and UCs do have the requirement, has to be a C. And if you want to look up other course requirements for other colleges, you can follow the information in the link down below.
Step 1 is, in your college selection process, is identifying your criteria, your specific criteria for what you're looking for in a college. So that could include a lot of different things. We'll have a slide on that next. But developing your criteria for what kind of college you're looking for. You can do a self-inventory. What are your interests, passions, priorities? So is what you're looking for most is a very specific program? Is it that there are, if you're an athlete and that's one of your top priorities, is your sports team. So think about really what is most important to you and what you're looking for. And then use resources to narrow your college search. And there are lots of college search resources out there, and like we said, we have it linked later in the presentation that you'll have access to. So we'll go over some of those as well. So in developing that criteria, what the best fit college for you, these are some of the items that you really want to look at. So the type of college, is it a 2-year, is it a 4-year, is it a private, public, Is it a trade school? There are lots of different college options, and we'll get into those more later as well, but you want to think about what type you're looking for. Location, environment, do you want to stay in California? Do you really not want to stay in California? Do you want a rural or an urban setting? Do you want a large campus or a small campus? Do you like the idea of being in a huge room with a lot of other students, or do you like a more intimate classroom setting? Do you want to live on campus, or do you want to commute to campus? Is it financially feasible for your family? Program availability, so back to which programs you're looking for. Some schools have, you may see an admissions statistic of, oh, we accept this % of students, and that may be overall for the university, but that may not be the same for specific programs. So if you're looking to major in a specific science major, that program may have a lower admissions rate or a higher admissions rate, depending on whether or not that program is impacted. So looking at those kind of details is important as well. Does the college offer internship opportunities or work study programs where you can work on campus and earn money while going to college? Do they offer career placement assistance? Is there somebody on campus who can help you put your degree or certificate to use in the real world? Are there those supports? Academic rigor, athletics, again, back to if you're an athlete and want to continue playing sports in college, that's going to be an important thing to look at. Greek life, so social life on campus, what does that look like? How involved do you want to be? What does the school offer in terms of clubs or different communities that you can join? Military prep, if you're interested in ROTC programs, you're gonna, if that's important to you, then you're gonna look at only schools that offer that. Does it have a religious affiliation? And then again, on-campus housing. If you are in need of living on campus, do they offer that? What does that housing look like for you? So these are all really important aspects to look at.
Yeah, again, so the key is to find the best fit for you. Maybe not best fit for your friends, but what's going to be the best fit for you. Again, for each of these, you'll find more information if you follow the links. So there are over 4,500 colleges just in the United States, but there are some main things that make them different from each other. In the US, there are 3 main types of colleges, and you have to, again, decide what's going to be best for you, because each one has its own set of advantages and its own set of disadvantages. So the 3 main types you see listed here, specialized colleges or trade schools. Those are programs where you're going to just train yourself, you're going to get training, you're going to get education in one very specific area. Okay, it could be a 1-year program or a 2-year program, and you're going to go out and get a job in that area. Okay, so advantages, it's generally going to be easier, faster, you're only going to have to take classes in the area you're interested in. Disadvantages, as you can see here, it's going to be limited options. You're only going to be trained for that area, and if, like most people, you end up changing your mind about your career and career area, then you're probably going to have to go back to school to prepare for the new one. And generally more difficult to get promotions or change jobs. So again, it could be very advantageous for you if you want to get trained in a very specific area. Just remember there are some disadvantages. Community colleges, students use that to get certification like you do at a trade school or a specialized college, but you can also get a 2-year degree called an associate's degree, or you can use that to get credits that you can transfer to a 4-year college. Cost is the hugest advantage. Great program in California. It's free, which we'll talk about briefly. Quicker to get a degree. It's very convenient. Disadvantages, if you want to get a 4-year degree, it's probably going to take you longer if you started a 2-year than a 4-year. And just kind of an inconsistent quality. You can get some great professors, really motivated students, great classes, and then some not so great ones and everything in between. 4-year college is where you go to get a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree. Pros are, it gives you the most options, most chances for promotion and higher salaries and so on. The college experience of just being a part of the whole environment where you're connecting with all the professors and other students and getting all that college has to offer. Cons, obviously a big one is going to be cost. We'll talk more about that. And you need to get admitted. 2-year colleges, specialized programs, if you have a high school diploma, you can get in. For your colleges, it just depends on the college what your chances are. In California, the public universities we have are two separate systems. So the UC, or University of California schools, there are 9 of those campuses. And then the California State Universities, there are 23 of those. This slide just shows you kind of the main differences. In general, the biggest difference, UC is more designed for research, preparing you for grad school, that kind of thing. Cal States are going to be more designed to prepare you for a specific degree right out of college. UCs are going to be a more residential campus where most of the students are living on campus. Cal States typically are going to be more of a commuter campus where most people drive in for their classes.
So this is a slide I mentioned earlier, resources for college searches. So once you develop your criteria list of all of the things that are most important to you in selecting a college, then you can go to one of these websites or check out all of them and see which one you like best. And you can filter college searches based on what you chose that is most important to you. And so these are some really good resources to look at. And so they will all be linked.
If I could just interrupt, so you'll see the link there for the recommended websites. That's also on the back of your packet if you want to see that on paper.
College visits. So this is the next really important step in your college search because it's impossible to evaluate a college completely without actually being there and feeling the environment, meeting some of the staff, the faculty and professors there, meeting some of the students to feel what that culture is like and get a sense of the whole program, the whole university, the area, and surrounding areas. So if you're looking somewhere outside of San Diego that you're less familiar with, you're going to want to know the kind of town you're going to be in. So college visits are super, super important. You may think that your heart is set on a specific university and then you go and visit it and you just don't feel it. And you realize that it's not the right place for you. And that's why it's so important because you want to commit, put down your deposit, get there, start, and then realize, oh, this actually isn't the place for me. So we recommend using Mondays. Mondays are our home days for all of our students. And so that's a great way to utilize those days to spend like a long weekend going somewhere visiting college, and of course school breaks, and then whatever the colleges are offering. Sometimes they offer specific tour dates, and so you can always look at their websites and see what they're offering, and you can go and visit. And we linked some events here for specifically UCs and CSUs. Like I said, universities do host different dates and different tour events on their site, on their campuses, so you link those ones just for easy access to find where to go.
And just one more thing with college visits, just something that I've noticed families doing that seems really smart to me. When you're checking out colleges, any time is a good time to visit, especially those holidays or Mondays. Realize too, when you get to your senior year, there may be some colleges you're looking at that are a long ways away. What some students do is they do as much research as they can to decide if they want to apply, and then they wait to find out if they've been accepted or not. And if they've been accepted and they're still interested, then spring break maybe during their senior year, they'll go visit those colleges that are farther away when they really are a legitimate option. And that still gives them a month before they have to make that final decision by May 1.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. And virtual visits, of course, are also a possibility and would help in the initial stages of determining which schools you want to apply to. But again, after you're admitted, I highly recommend actually visiting in person if you can.
All right, step 2 of the college planning process, the SATs and ACTs, standardized tests. You probably hear that colleges aren't requiring them anymore, but that's not necessarily true. It depends on the college. Right now, I believe there are around 1,900 colleges that are test optional. So you can take the SAT or ACT. It can help you get admitted, but you don't have to. So it can't hurt you. So it's a really good idea still to take the SAT or ACT. There are still some colleges that will require it. I think there are 80 or so colleges that are test blind, where they won't look at them at all. So the UCs and Cal States, for example, will not look at test scores. It might be able to help you with getting a higher placement into math or something like that, but they will not look at it for admission. Yeah, there's the opportunity too from some colleges, if you take the SAT or ACT and score well, you can get some scholarships that way. So the main point that we want to get across is that it can only help you to take the SAT and or ACT, it cannot hurt you. Okay? There's some practice that you can do and some test prep that's free on Khan Academy. You'll find more information on the link listed there.
I just want to add that when we say if you take the SAT and score well enough, typically for a merit scholarship, those start at, if you're in the like 1100s, 1150 or so, or higher, then you're in the market for some merit scholarships. So that's kind of the range. Step 3, actually applying to colleges. So again, we have a link there with extensive information on step-by-step of how to apply. Colleges have different requirements and different deadlines. There are some overarching systems that help uniform that process a little bit, which we'll go over in a second, but it's really important for you to keep track of each college's specific requirements, whether they require a letter of recommendation from a teacher or 3 teachers, or they require a letter of recommendation from a counselor, or whether they require those test scores. So please look at all of the details and keep track of all of that for each college and the deadlines. Deadlines are super important. Transcript, if needed, you'll see everything on here is italicized if needed, because colleges have individual discretion over what they require and when. So, for instance, some schools require that you submit a transcript with your initial application. Others, you self-report your grades and you only have to submit a final transcript after you've been admitted and you actually graduate high school, and they only want your transcript then. So just please pay attention to the specific requirements that they have. Some require essays, not all, and essay can be broad. Some of them are shorter answer essays and some are a little bit longer, but we've linked here some essay tips for college applications, so please take a look at that. I know we have different writing workshops and things that we offer individually on our campuses, so I know on Coastal we have win times dedicated to college essay writing workshops, so look out for those. And supplemental materials if needed. So some programs that you apply to, for instance, if you want to be a music major, you're going to have to audition also. If you want to be an art major, you'll need to submit a portfolio of your work as well, and so on and so forth. So particular majors may require some supplemental materials. Please pay attention to that as well. So again, at the end, it depends. It all depends on what it is you are choosing, where you are choosing, and what program. Wasn't there another note I'm supposed to say about that? Okay. So again, back to the types of applications and some overarching systems that uniform this process a little bit. So I'm not going to go point by point. You'll have access to the slides to look over this in more detail. The UC system, so for all 9 of those UCs, they all use this one system. And so you do one application and you select which UCs you want to apply to. CSU system, same deal. All 23 CSUs use this system. So if you want to apply to 4 different CSUs, it's all that one application. The Common App, similar, it's one application. It has over 800 schools across the country that use the Common App. So for California, it's going to be a lot of the private schools, and then out of state, both private and public out-of-state schools are on the Common App. Even though within the Common App, it's one application, you can check off all the colleges that you want it to be sent to. they still also may have their own additional requirements. So the Common App, you have to write an essay. That goes to all of them. But some colleges may ask for another essay. Or there may be, again, some of the supplemental materials I mentioned. So even within that application, just know that colleges can still have different deadlines. They have different requirements, so pay attention to that. Again, deadline is super important. And then individual schools. So some schools, particularly a lot of smaller private schools, are not going to be found in any of these systems. You're going to look directly on their individual websites for all of this admissions information, what they require and what their deadlines are. Real quick, back to the Common App. There are some other systems that are very similar to Common App, work the same way, called the Coalition App, and then the Black Common App for HBCU schools. So if you're interested in any of those are options as well. All of the information for all of these systems are linked here.
By the way, you might feel like we're kind of blowing through some of this information quickly. If you want more information on all the application process, please check out the senior nights from your campus. For Coastal, I believe that's coming next week. And then for the PL and studio campuses, we did that a couple of weeks ago, and you can find that online. Also, I might just say too, like Andrew was saying, it depends. So much of what happens with colleges in the United States is it depends. Okay, there are all different kinds of colleges, and they all set their own rules for applying, but they also have their own kind of level of academic rigor, and their size and their location and all of that is totally different. So I just want to throw in a little encouragement to you. If you are interested in college, you can go to college. Okay, sometimes you get the idea that, oh, I can't get into college because you hear about, Harvard or Stanford. Well, yeah, those are really hard to get into, but there are 4,500 colleges out there. Vast majority of them are not that hard to get into compared to Stanford and Harvard. Okay, so all different levels, you want to find what fits you and just realize there's something available to you, and we will help you get through that. So, types of admission, again, you'll find this in the senior night information. Just realize if you've heard about early decision, early action, regular decision, rolling admission, you're not sure what that is. This slide and then the link will give you more information on that. It just determines when you apply, whether it's binding or not. But for the vast majority of them, you'll notice that the decision deadline is always May 1. Okay, so however you apply, whenever you find out you've been admitted, you have to make your decision by May 1 unless you apply early decision. Because early decision is always binding. Okay, so once you apply, you've already decided if you're accepted there that that's where you're going. Okay, college athletics. If some of you are interested in possibly playing sports in college, great once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I encourage you to check that out if you're an athlete. Please watch out for scams. There are people who are going to try and make money off of you for this and for scholarships, which we'll talk about. The main things you need to do is contact the coach of whatever team at college you're interested in. You can find that on their college athletics pages. Get guidance from your coaches here, or your club coaches. They can be really helpful resources. You'll see some websites listed there. Down at the bottom, you'll see a link. So just like you have to be eligible to participate in athletics here in high school, you have to do the same thing for college. So you have to make sure that you're taking the right kind of classes, okay, challenging enough course load, and that you're doing well in those classes. So you'll want to be sure, if you are looking at college athletics, you have to make sure that you're meeting their eligibility requirements. And if you have any questions about that, please talk with your counselor. We'll be happy to help you with that. The main systems out there for college athletics, NCAA and NAIA, you can find all of their information on that link.
And go ahead and sign up on that eligibility center as soon as possible. So you don't have to wait to be a senior. In fact, it's best if you don't wait if you're a senior. So if you're an athlete and you have any interest at all, even possibly playing your sport in college, please go to the NCAA Eligibility Center and sign up, because that is the way those athletics recruiters are going to find you, and also so you can monitor your progress, ensure your eligibility, all of that. So the earlier the better, if you haven't done that already.
Financial aid, we are not going to spend a lot of time on this because, as it says there in the first bullet point, we are having a financial aid seminar here a week from tonight. It'll start at 6:30, so not at 6, but at 6:30. We have an outstanding financial aid expert who is really knowledgeable and really good at explaining it so you actually understand what she's saying. Both of which are really important when it comes to financial aid. So highly recommend that you come to that next week, Thursday. She'll go into more detail and answer all of your questions. And she's available to help too if you have individual questions. One thing to point out, the second bullet point there, to get a rough idea of what a college will actually cost you, the vast majority of colleges have a sticker price that virtually nobody pays. Okay? So if you want to get an idea of what would it actually cost you out of pocket to go to a particular college, every college is required to have a net price calculator available on their website. They don't have to make it easy to find though, so some of them are harder to find than others. You can go to their website and search, or you can do a Google search of a college name, net price calculator. You'll put in information about grades and generally how much you make and own as a family, and it'll give you an idea of what you can expect to pay there. Obviously it won't be exact, but it'll give you a rough idea anyway. And again, with financial aid, if they have any forms that you need to fill out as a senior, you'll want to make sure you're watching your deadline. We'll go into way more detail about this next week, but just realize with financial aid, there are two main types of aid. There's merit-based aid that's based on what you're good at, what your merits are. So your grades, your test scores, or music scholarship, athletic scholarship, based on things, maybe based on community service. So things that you've done well or excelled in. And the need-based aid on the left side is just going to be based on your financial need. And so there are different types: grants, free money you never have to pay back, loans, which you do have to pay back, but many of the loans that you get through colleges are going to be lower interest and better for you, and then work study where you're guaranteed a job on campus. Again, you're going to get way more information next week, Thursday. And then just a bunch of different links here for you that you can check out later, and again, that will cover more next week. I just want to highlight the very last one, the Western Undergraduate Exchange. The Western United States, kind of Montana, Wyoming, New Mexico, and west of there, many of those public universities have a deal where you can get reduced tuition by being a California resident. Okay, so just like the public university in California, the UCs and Cal States are going to be way less expensive for you than people outside of California. Well, some of these public universities in the Western United States are going to be a lot less expensive for you than people east of there. So you can find some great deals on public universities in some of the Western states. FAFSA, again, we'll be giving more information next week. Just realize one thing that's different this year for those of you who've gone through this before. In the past, it's been October 1 that it opens. This year, because some of the changes they're making, and supposedly they're going to make it easier and shorter, it won't open until around December 1, they're thinking. So just realize you have a little bit more time to do that. If you want to qualify potentially for a Cal Grant, which we'll talk about next week, you'll want to make sure you get that submitted, the FAFSA submitted by March 2. As a general rule, try to get the FAFSA submitted by around the time of your first application deadline. Now that's not going to be possible for all college deadlines this year, like if you're applying early action, for example, you're applying a little bit earlier, but general rule. And then another link there that you can get. Please realize you need a GPA verification for the Cal Grant. Unless you opt out with us, we will submit that for you automatically when you're a senior. So you do not need to worry about that.
I just want to make one more note about the FAFSA because this is important not only for any kind of government funding, but colleges also, a lot of them use the FAFSA data to help create the financial aid packages that they're going to offer you. So the FAFSA provides you with government offers, like the Pell Grant and the Cal Grant, but in addition to that, Colleges will also send you, so say you're admitted into a college, you find out in March of your senior year you're admitted, then sometime in April you're going to also receive the financial aid package that that school is offering you. And again, that goes back to need and merit-based. They'll offer you a combination of both. And for the need side, they use the FAFSA data a lot of times. So it's important not only for government funding, but for college-specific university funding also. And it's something you do every year. So the first time you do it is senior year of high school for funding for your freshman year of college, but then you're going to have to repeat it every year that you plan on pursuing education. So it's not a one-and-done thing. So just keep that in mind.
So filling out the FAFSA, it cannot hurt you, it can only help you. So generally speaking, it's going to be very worth it for you.
Community colleges. Okay, so we have a lot of students who opt to start in a community college and then transfer to a four-year or complete an associate's degree or a certificate for a specific career through a community college. So we want to touch on these. So like Brian said earlier, great option for associate's degree, certificate programs, which are typically shorter, and general education. So again, that goes back to if you are planning to transfer to the four-year, a lot of times students want to complete all of their general education requirements at a community college first because it's cheaper and convenient, which is a great plan, but we'll talk more about that in a second, of some things to think about. So all community colleges in California, you apply to them, you enroll via CCC Apply. So you'll want to do that by May of your senior year. So you apply to any community college through that link. SAT is not needed. Your GPA, any GPA is fine. As long as you graduate high school and have a diploma, you can attend. The Promise program is, you may have heard the Palomar Promise or the Miracosta two-year promise. That is a program in California that allows your first 2 years of a community college, your tuition is paid for, so it's free. Back to FAFSA and why that's so important, the only way you can be eligible to participate in the Promise program at any community college is by completing the FAFSA. So that is what is going to help you be eligible for the Promise program. So a really great opportunity through community college. Transferring. So there's a lot on this slide. I could spend a long time talking about all of this. If this is your plan, please meet with your counselor to talk about it. But use these links and look at this information. So back to general ed requirements, you're going to want to look for something called IGETC. Every community college has an IGETC plan. If you follow that plan and you take those specific courses, they are guaranteed to transfer and cover your general education for any CSU and UC in California. So you're going to want to become familiar with that plan if that is your intention. There is an amazing program called the TAG program, Transfer Admission Guarantee with the UCs. So 6 of the 9 UCs participate in this program. And if you follow the program and you apply to it the spring prior to when you're planning on transferring, then you are guaranteed admission to one of those 6 UCs. So really, really great program. If you want to go to a UC but you want to start at a community college first, please look at this program. Great opportunity. They also offer a transfer planner. So while you're in community college, planning out which courses you're taking is going to help you transfer on time. Like Brian said, a lot of the time when students start in a community college and then transfer, they end up taking a longer time to complete their 4-year degree. It's not really 4 years. A lot of times it's 5 years, and that's because when you're at the community college, you think everything you take is going to transfer, and then you find out it doesn't. Again, universities have discretion over what they accept and what they don't accept. And so not every class at the community college is going to count for anything at any given university. So it depends on where you're going and the transfer articulation. So that's why I have this highlighted big in the bottom. If you go to community college and want to transfer, super important for you to meet with your academic advisor, your counselor at the community college every semester to make sure that you know what the transfer articulation agreement is for whatever university, whichever university you want to go to, and you are taking classes that will actually, in fact, transfer. Super important. Assist.org is a really good resource for seeing those articulation agreements. You can look at all of the passes that say Miracosta or Palomar and pick any college in California and see which of the classes at Miracosta transfer to that particular college. So really good resource. CTE pathways. So this goes back to the certificate option. You can earn a certification in a lot of really great areas. We have some highlighted here. Again, the certification route through community college or trade school, it can be as quick as 6 months. You can earn a certificate and be specialized in a specific area for a career. Some are longer and it can take up to 2 years, but most of them are shorter than that. So if that's something you're interested in, very worthwhile to look at what the community college offer in the way of certification programs in CTE.
If I just throw a plug in for that too, a lot of the community colleges, as part of the program, you are doing some of the work and getting some of the training. For many of them, you're actually getting paid while you're training to get your degree. So it's a really great opportunity that they have.
There are unions that offer that as well. So like the San Diego Building and Construction Union, that's a really long name. But anyway, they offer apprenticeships where they learn on the job and you get paid and while you're learning, which is really cool. So look at unions for that kind of thing too.
And then finally, for some of you looking at military, we do have a couple of recruiters here tonight, so really encourage you to talk with them. You'll get a lot more detailed information. But just realize that there are some links here that you might want to check out. There are just a lot of different options that they have for you and that allow you to get money for going to college. One of the great ones out there is the ROTC program, where you're doing some of the training while you're in college, and then you're committing to some service when you get out of college. And then when you graduate, you come out as an officer. So great opportunity there. Basically, the gist of this is you'll get information by talking with recruiters, so make sure you're talking with them. I encourage you too to be talking with some of your teachers, staff members at school who served in military or had spouses in the military. I know we have some great ones on this campus, and I imagine on the other campuses too. They can be a great source of information for you.
Just to add one more thing, so the ASVAB test is required if you want to go that route. So if you are interested in joining the military and enlisting right after high school, please come and see your counselor and let them know that you are interested in taking the ASVAB, because we need a minimum number of students who want to take it in order to host it here. Otherwise, we need to find another location for you to go and take it. And so, which we will absolutely do, but depending on when they offer it where, we want to make sure to get you in there. So if you're interested in this and you want to take the ASVAB, please let your counselor know. Oh, we did it. We made it in time. Okay. So in your packets, you can see that you have a couple QR codes. In this one, we would love to get your feedback on this presentation and what you thought was useful or not useful, or what you would like to hear more of, and we can schedule some more programming for you that way. So please take a moment to take our survey, and then the last QR code you'll find in your packets is for a direct link to this presentation that you can take home and look at your convenience and check out all of the many links that we refer to. Thank you so much for coming. All the counselors are here for questions, as well as the admissions reps outside, so please go enjoy, mingle, and have a good night. Thank you.